Hello, everybody. This is Brad Johnson, reporter with the Texan News. Here I've got State Rep Mays Middleton, soon to be moving over to the State Senate. Here with me. Mays, how's it going?
It's going great. It's fun to be back at convention in person finally.
Yeah, after everything that happened in 2020, thank God we're here. So you are, as I mentioned, making the jump from the State House to the State Senate. You have no opponent in November, I believe, right? And so you have a lot of time to prepare, basically. What's that transition going to be like for you making that jump?
Well, we're going ahead and getting ready for next session. You know, it's one member can do a whole lot more for conservative legislation in the Senate than they can in the House. You know, and that's one of the biggest differences is, you know, that part of the conservative movement where there's just so much more you can accomplish.
Yeah.
And I've worked very closely with the Senate for years. My very first session was SB 29, picked up the ban on taxpayer-funded lobbying. That was, at that time, Bob Hall. And that was my first big bill to carry to the House floor. So we know what happened there, where it got 58 votes. It had 18 Republicans vote no, and the gallery was filled with taxpayer-funded lobbyists that cheered when it failed.
Yeah.
That's the Austin Swamp right there.
Well, that's one of your biggest issues, if not the biggest. With you moving to the Senate, obviously you're going to still work on that. What's that move going to be like for this issue? Is there any changes up your sleeve on strategy on this?
We've seen how important it is. I don't know if everyone followed exactly what happened with the National Taxpayer-Funded Lobby Group, National Association of School Boards. So basically, they lied and they asked Joe Biden to investigate concerned parents as domestic terrorists under the Patriot Act. They said, well, actually, we walked that back a little bit. That's not true. We found out more information that they actually wanted the National Guard to go into school board meetings to silence parents. And the FBI did follow through on that. It was later proven, I believe Jim Jordan put out a letter through public information request to show that the FBI had EDU threat. And like, for example, they investigated one mom because they said she, quote unquote, owned a gun.
Wow.
Right? So they used it to attack parents. They're using it to treat parents like the enemy. They're using it to treat taxpayers like the enemy. So this issue has really blown up in the last year because we've seen the abuses by taxpayer-funded lobby groups like TASB is one of them. You know, they're the member of the National School Board Association, and you're not going to be surprised to hear this, but TASB's former president of Texas Association of School Boards, which is a taxpayer-funded lobby group here in Texas, is the president of the National School Board Association who sent that letter to Joe Biden's AG to investigate parents.
Didn't TASB, haven't they since removed themselves from the National School Board?
They were about the 26th state to do that, after California, I might add. So, I mean, that's not really
after quite a bit
leadership
of
exactly
backlash
to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they waited for more than half to leave until they finally decided that was enough for them. So, you know, but we keep seeing this. Like last session, you know, we passed the ban on critical race theory. So the first one passed in May. Then we did it again to strengthen the bill in SB 3, which I believe September 1st was when that was signed into law. Well, after we did all of that, the Texas Association of School Boards voted to integrate critical race theory in their statement of beliefs in mid-September after we'd passed both bans. And I sent them a letter, and the Freedom Caucus did sign on as well and said, you know, you're violating the law. And they said, no, we're not a political subdivision of the state. We're allowed to do this. So, you know, it's just wrong. It's wrong.
And that brings us to another big issue that is going to hold a lot of prominence when you guys reconvene next year, school choice. You are very much a supporter of school choice. You know, talk to us more about the issue, why you support it, and where you think it's going to go in the legislature.
This is one of the most basic fundamental rights. You know, rights as parents are from God and not government, and we need to let parents decide. And that's really all this does, is it puts the tools in the hands of Texas parents, and it's saying, we trust you. You're hearing the opposite from D.C., where they're saying they don't trust parents and they don't want parents to decide, and they're actually treating them like the enemy. So it's time for Texas to stand up and say, no, we're going to trust you, and we're going to give you more tools to decide which education is best for your own child and your own child's unique needs. And that's really all it is. Mm-hmm. That's what education opportunity is. And I'll never forget when I first got involved in this issue in 2017, it's actually when I noticed how bad the taxpayer-funded lobbyists were, because in the Education Committee in the Senate, it was SB, I think, 3 at the time in 2017 was loaded with taxpayer-funded lobbyists that were paid to go fight parents and what parents wanted. And it's just sad. It's sad we're having to pay for that, and it's time for Texas to stand up and lead on this. I think we'd be the 31st state to pass some form of school choice program. Right now, of course, we have charter schools, which is a form of public school choice because, charter schools are public schools. But we need more tools on the table. We just need parents to decide whatever's best for their own child, whether that's public, private, homeschool, charter, you name it.
So the word that has come to describe it is voucher system, right? In some circles it draws a negative connotation, others it doesn't. Is that something that you support? Is that a model you think is appropriate here?
I support whenever we're going to put more tools on the table.
Okay.
But a voucher is kind of outdated. That's basically what we saw in the 90s and early 2000s, where you get something from the state and then you can go, money follows the child only to a private school.
Okay.
I think we've seen in COVID and everything else going on, we need flexibility. We need money to follow the child, but it should be able to go to community college classes, homeschool curriculum, tutoring, educational therapies, books, all kinds of things, where they can maybe even, if you're a homeschool parent and there's a really good, say, physics class you don't want to teach or maybe can't teach, where you can take that money to the public school where they teach physics and you like, basically the outcome that you've heard about from that particular class, and you can pay to attend, with that money. So the money should follow the child. The money shouldn't follow systems, and that's the big difference. Of course, it's Democrats are adamantly against this. Biden, Beto, you name it, all up and down, Pelosi, they all hate it because they don't want parents to get to decide what's best. They want government to decide for parents, and that's wrong.
Yeah. Now, with you making the switch to the Senate, that's one less school choice supporter in the House, although Terry Leo Wilson, who will be representing your district after succeeding you, is also a school choice supporter. But anyway, the Speaker has said before that test votes have been kind of done on the House floor on this issue, and they only had maybe 45 members in support. What do you think its chances are in the chamber that you're leaving?
I think they're very good. Conservatives did really well in these runoffs on May the 24th. They pretty much swept, and nearly everyone that I know that won is a supporter of educational freedom and educational choice and parents' right to decide what's best for their own child. So, that's a big change. The other big change is what's happened nationally. You're seeing this across the country where, like in states like Virginia, that's a Democrat state, but they elected a Republican governor because he was willing to stand up for parents. Even in San Francisco, which is probably one of the most liberal cities in America, they threw out their school board there because they were treating parents like the enemy there. And they wanted a school board that put parents first. Same as Virginia, same as a lot of different places where you're seeing this awakening where I've never seen this many conservatives involved in school board races as well, which is a great thing. So there is an awakening right now where parents know that it's their time to stand up and make sure their voice is heard first, and they have a fundamental right to decide what's best for their own child.
Gotcha. Okay, one more for you. So you are the chair of the Texas Freedom Caucus, the group of conservative legislators in the House, but as we've talked about, you're moving to the Senate. Is there anything that's going to change on that? Is there a Freedom Caucus going to the Senate that you're going to start, or just continue to work with your colleagues in the lower chamber?
Well, there's never been a Freedom Caucus in the Senate, but I'll tell you this, the House Freedom Caucus will live on, and it did some great work this past session, and we only have 11 members, but we had victories like constitutional carry, the ban on critical race theory, protect girls' sports, the no closing churches, the social media censorship ban. We know Briscoe Cain was instrumental in the election integrity bill and the heartbeat bill, so it is a lean, mean, but mighty conservative voice in the Texas House, and I'm excited to also see additional conservatives get elected that I believe will end up joining the Texas House Freedom Caucus. So it's got a bright future ahead for it. And look, we need them. At the end of the day, this is a spiritual battle that we're in. It takes a lot of grit to get things done, and we've proven that again and again that we did what we said we were going to do, and we're going to keep that up next session.
Okay. Well, Representative Middleton, thanks for stopping by. We look forward to seeing your work in the state Senate once you guys reconvene next year, and catch you around. Thanks, Maze.